David defeated Goliath with knowledge. Faith is not blind. Faith is highly intelligent. Welcome to day 24 of our 1000 Days of Revealing Christ challenge. We are continuing where we left off yesterday, the advantage of knowledge. Many believers struggle because they think that faith is blind. They think faith means hoping for the best. But the Bible teaches that faith is highly intelligent. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 says, "By his divine power, he has already given us all things that pertain to life and godliness." He says, through the knowledge of him who has called us. So healing is given, provision is given, everything that you will ever need for life has already been given. But the only way to access it is through knowledge. In fact, we don't access it through faith. We don't access it by begging. We don't access it by crying. We don't access it by asking. We access it by knowledge. Remember how the woman took her healing from Jesus by knowledge? It is the same way for us. We access everything we have been given by God through knowledge. And that is why Peter does not stop there. He goes ahead to say, in the same chapter, verse 5, "Now add to your faith virtue, and to virtue add knowledge." Faith is the engine, but knowledge is the steering wheel. Without knowledge, faith is just energy without direction. We see this example with David. David did not defeat Goliath with a stone. David defeated Goliath with knowledge. In 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 26, David comes into the battlefield and asks, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" Now, again, to the 21st century mindset, that means nothing to us. But to an ancient reader, somebody who understands historical context and cultural background, they understand that that is where David won the war. To us, and even to the Philistine soldiers listening, the word uncircumcised is just an insult. And to some of us, it is just a tradition. But when David looked at the reproductive organs of the Philistine giant, he realized he's not fighting with a big man. He realized that he's fighting with somebody who has zero protection. So to understand why David was very confident, we have to go back to Abraham. So God comes to Abraham, and after making a covenant with him, God asks Abraham to circumcise himself and all the males in his household. So again, to the 21st century mind, circumcision just looks like a medical procedure. But to the ancient mind, they understand that you need to cut a covenant. Hebrew, karat, berit. And to cut a covenant, you always required blood to seal a life or death bond. But you might ask yourself, God could have chosen any other part of the body to cut the covenant. Either way, the only thing that was needed was blood. So why did God choose the reproductive organ? Now, this is deep. This is because the reproductive organ is the instrument of the seed. We produce the future. We produce our generations using the reproductive organ. And so, by choosing the reproductive organ, God was showing Abraham that this covenant is between me, you, and your future generations. So by placing the cuts at the reproductive organ, God was establishing two things. Number one, ownership. God was saying, by this covenant, you and your seed, your future generations, they are all mine. Number two, God was symbolizing the end of flesh. Spiritually, the foreskin represents flesh. And what is flesh? Flesh is human confidence and self-reliance. By cutting it off, Abraham was declaring, I have no confidence in my human strength. I rely only on God. So, back to David. When David looked at Goliath and realized that this giant is intact, it is uncircumcised, these were the conclusions of David. Number one, the giant is trusting and relying in his own flesh. The giant is relying on his own ability. And David knew that human strength, self-reliance, can never defeat God. So the moment David saw an uncircumcised giant, that is where the war ended. He already won the war. But there's also something beautiful to see in it. Remember, in the covenant between God and Abraham, God had told Abraham, I will bless whoever blesses you, and I will curse whoever curses you. So the moment the giant throws curses on David and his God, the giant placed a curse on himself. And so there was no way this giant was going to win. David understood the power of the covenant. He knew the power of the covenant he was in. He knew the rules of engagement. So David was not going there to guesswork. He entered the war sure that he has already won, that victory is already assured. So David won because he added to his faith knowledge. So this is the lesson for you today. Stop trying harder and start knowing better. Don't just have faith that God can do it. Get the knowledge that God has already done it. This is the advantage of knowledge. Faith is not blind. Faith is highly intelligent.